do this little. This board workshop is being conducted in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice that this workshop has been posted online for at least 72 hours. A recording of this workshop is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time is now 5:21 p.m. and I'll call this workshop to order. I'll now begin the roll call. Trustee Rodriguez? Trustee Cuellar?
Present.
Trustee Castillo?
Here.
Trustee Trevino? Trustee Nieto?
Present.
Trustee De Los Santos? A quorum is not required for a board workshop. That will bring us to item number 2, public comments. Do we have any?
We have one.
We have one. Thank you. Are they here in person? Okay. Can you please come? Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Can you please state your name and your address?
Of course, my name is Israel Gonzalez. My address is 1609 Sunset Lane in Palmhurst, Texas, 78573.
Thank you. I'll just read a quick paragraph before you begin. Pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, the Board of Trustees may not deliberate on any comment made by a member of the public on a subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. As for the Texas Attorney General, the scope of board discussion for a subject not part of the meeting agenda is limited to only a proposal by a board member to place a subject on a future board agenda. Specific factual information or recitation of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the portion of the meeting designated for that purpose. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless recognized by the presiding officer. No public comment presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. Any disruptive behavior by any speaker may result in the speaker's removal from participation in the meeting. Please be mindful of using names or personally identifiable information, as there is no immunity from defamatory comments while participating in public comments. Okay, so you'll have 3 minutes, and our secretary is not here, so can someone take time? If they have a...
I'll take time.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Let me
ahead.
just get the timer for you that way.
Sure
That way,
thing.
and we'll let you know at 1 minute when you have 1 minute left to go.
Sounds good.
Let us know when.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Bien.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. The reason that I'm here is to respond to the WISD board workshop from March 21st. I came prepared to share some slides. Unfortunately, I'm being told I should have printed them ahead of time, but that's okay. Specifically, I'm responding to the teacher proposed raise. Why do teachers deserve a bigger raise is perhaps the question we should be asking. Let's start off by the state of Texas, of course. We're 28th in the nation, and we are on average paid $7,652 less than the national average. This is according to the National Education Association. I'll give you 3 more reasons, however. I don't think those are good enough, so I've got 3 more. Additionally, I just want to communicate to the board, I guess, the way that it was sold, the teachers are hurt by it because it's not a $4,000 raise. It's a $2,000 raise and a $2,000 incentive. And the reason that we're hurt by this is because it does not go towards our retirement. That stipend is not going to count towards our retirement, and that's something that means a lot to us. Of course, some of us are investing and some of us are getting close to retiring, so we want to make sure that we're, stacking up our retirement as much as we can. Additionally, another reason I think that we should be paid more as an educator, and I'm speaking for myself, I'm speaking for my department. The science department, we don't have any textbooks. This year, I've been teaching without a textbook. Last year, I was teaching without a textbook. It's been a few years. I've been teaching without a textbook, so I've had to create most of my curriculum, and I feel that this is something that many teachers, not just in my department, share. So we've had to do a lot, and this is kind of what the state task force found not too long ago. A few years back, there was a state task force. They found that teachers are overworked. This is kind of what's happening. We don't get a textbook, but we're expected to teach this material, so I have to design things. Of course, I want to design on a dime. I don't want to spend my money. I'm working to earn money. And it's a little bit difficult. Sometimes we have to go outside of what we have for other resources. So that's a reason that I think we should be getting a little bit of a bigger raise. Our authority is undermined constantly as teachers, and something that goes back to Trustee Sustaita's concern at this workshop. You had a concern about students not participating in the AP program. And I'm quoting, there was a suggestion under F, sensory rooms, quote, like a relaxing atmosphere where kids can cool down emotional, behavioral difficulties, end quote. That is what's happening. And that's something that I think needs to stop. We need to stop rewarding detrimental behavior and enforce the rules that are already in play. I understand these are very important rooms. I believe we should have them for the special needs students, for diverse learners, of course, absolutely. But we can't be rewarding negative behavior. And I hate to go there, but I'm going to...
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez. Okay. Now that we've heard the public comments, we can consider talking about this later on as a board or add anything to future agenda items. For right now, I'll move on to item number 3, the Weslaco Independent School District 2024 to 2025 Budget Workshop number 2.
Mr. David, go ahead.
Thank you so much. And so as we start our presentation, this is budget workshop number 2. And so if you remember last month, we were saying that this is going to be kind of like the revenue review workshop. And so it's what I always like to do is kind of share what is happening at the state level. And so if we look out and go on the news and see what is happening. And see what is happening at the state level, we see districts, and I'm going to pick on one of them over there at the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And just similar to the comment that was just said in open comments, raise your hand. Texas is sharing that, yes, Texas teachers are about 700 or 7,500 less paid than other states' teachers. But what was supposed to happen this year at the state level? They were supposed to approve a budget for education. And that's where additional funding would have come to the school district. And at that point, more likely a part of that budget was going to be for pay increases. And so even though we don't have that help from the state, we are going to be doing our own version of that. Let's also see what's happening just around the corner near Brownsville or in Brownsville. And so for them having to kind of go through this same scenario, they're actually consolidating campuses. And so I know back then they used to have 54 campuses. They had meetings to discuss about consolidating some of those campuses on the southmost side of town. And so every district is going through the same budget crunch, and it's going to be up to the district to figure out how to handle the inaction at the state. But we do have full action of here locally of how we want to handle our finances. So how is this year turning out? As we kind of go back to see what has occurred, how do we earn our money? The primary way is by teaching our students. And so we get funded based on average daily attendance. And so our PEIMS department works well with all the campuses. They get their data, we submit it to TEA, and in a sense, that's how we get funded from the state portion of our revenues. On day one of our budget, we had budgeted 14,000 kids that would come to school every single day. You'll see in the superintendent's report later on that number that is actually happening, which is even better, 14,558. Now that includes both your kids at the campuses and then those who are participating in the SASE program. Well, what are we doing with those extra additional funds? Now, there is other state mandates that occurred at this last session, but they are partially funded. So in other words, if you remember, we had to have an armed guard or police officer at every campus. We already have that at the secondary last year, but for this year, elementary was needed. And so even though they're giving us some funding, we are at the local level having to come up with a difference. And as the superintendent has shared in prior meetings, those funds that we are saving, or by all the hard work at the campuses and departments, that we are using that extra funding for construction projects. And so that's why a good portion of our agenda is related to construction items, whether they're related to the bond or non-bond projects. And so just to remind everyone of some of those are our digital billboard, replacement of fuel tanks, the LED lighting at the stadium. And these are just the big ones. There's a lot of small little projects that are happening. And so we are seeing a lot of great movement. When you have additional kids, sometimes they do go to the different state allocations. And when we review our budgets, that's when we find out, oh, I have a little extra money. When I say little, it's for this particular project for technology, $2.3 million is being funded out of our federal programs or our external funds program. And so, again, we will see all those great technology items hitting our campuses very shortly.
Mr. Robledo, it just crossed my mind after hearing the public comments. Our enrollment increased because we have more kids on campuses, right? And so I'm thinking, I wasn't aware, or I hadn't thought about, I was aware, but I hadn't thought about how a stipend doesn't go into your retirement. So just to think about this, instead of kind of like supplanting the money, instead of using this extra money for the upgrades, would it be possible to maybe use this instead of a stipend, those 2,000 stipend for the teachers, and then kind of switch the money around? But no, it wouldn't, because it's long term, right?
So
it's a one-time cost.
yeah. So
And that's the problem, that we wouldn't be able to do that.
that is correct. So when we think of the money that the district saves and then becomes part of our, I don't call it savings or fund balance in our normal terms, we always hope that those are one-time big projects, because payroll costs are recurring every single year. And so just like how we want to do at our personal home, I want to do a kitchen upgrade, a restroom upgrade, a shower upgrade. You don't use your regular paycheck to do that.
Yeah.
You save a little, and ta-da, we have the funds
It's a
for that
one-time
big
deal.
deal. So again, you saw how often do we buy or upgrade a billboard? You're talking once,
Yeah.
I don't want to call it once in a lifetime, or the fuel tanks or LED lighting. These are big projects that would have been like a 10-year type of deal, where we're just doing it once every decade type of. And so those are the great ways to spend fund balance, in other
Yeah.
words, for those big projects.
Got it.
Oops. So just like how we're talking about how our revenue is tied to our students, what we are going to be showing, and I like to show 5 years of history of what our enrollment at our campuses. Again, it looks up and down because of COVID. So when COVID hit and really took effect, the district did see that big drop in year 22. So this is that 21-22 school year. But we saw real quick that we were able to gain those kids back in year 23. Year 24, we're maintaining the same amount. Again, the year 24, which is kind of like the column that's right in the middle, 16,416. Those are the enrollment, I believe, late February. Again, every day it changes. So, but the hope is from this year average to next year, we are going to be very conservative just for budget purposes. And we're hoping for 60 additional kids. Now you have your seniors graduating, so you lose about 1,500, 2,000 kids. The hope is that we bring them in, whether it's all coming in with our pre-K3, pre-K4, kindergarten, or first grade, or when they come from other districts or charter schools. Again, for future, just in case if you ever wonder, we are anticipating a 1% increase for the following years. Again, just to kind of see that hopefully in a few years, we'll be hitting 17,000 enrolled students within the district. So that is about 75–80% of our revenue, which is what comes from the state. The other biggest portion that we do get, and we're talking about close to about $30 million, give or take a few dollars, comes from property taxes. And so again, it's just basic math. When a property here is valued, we take down the exemptions if you're a homeowner and you filed all those fund exemptions. And so what is left is what we call assessed taxable value. So for this current year that we're talking about today, $3.2 billion of tax value is out there within the properties of all Weslaco ISD boundaries. We are anticipating, and that was like about an 8% increase from the previous year. For budget purposes, we're only going up 5% for next year, but I should know from the county appraisal district, the last day of this month, I should get at least a preliminary value to see how it's kind of coming along. Again, for budget purposes and for the bond, we anticipated at least a minimum of 5% increase. Now, crossing my fingers, and it's not necessarily good for the taxpayer, I do hope for higher values, but then that also could be for new construction. Because I know if we drive on the expressway or just anywhere around town, you see new homes, new apartment complexes, new businesses. And so that's the hope that we do have, that continued growth, so that everyone just shares in the tax levy and that the bond payment that happens afterwards. So if you remember hearing whenever we talked about the bond, that we're anticipating a 1 penny tax increase. But if that tax value goes beyond the 5% initial budget, then that penny actually gets smaller. And so hopefully when we see the tax values at the end of April, or they get revised in July, my hope is that it is larger than 5% and that we would actually see a smaller tax increase. When we've officially approved the budget, there's 3 funds that we have to approve: general fund, food service fund, and debt service fund. So debt service is to pay the bonds. Our food service program is the one that feeds all the students around all the different campuses. And then our local funds is really what is paid for the non-grant portion of our district budget. And so last year we had about $190 million. That is what we use to keep the district running every single year. This upcoming budget, at least for what I'm anticipating, we're seeing about $192 million. You have a breakdown by object code, which in my head, where we earn that money. Now, again, I will be sharing this again in June. We're hoping for better numbers, but as soon as we get the tax values and we get to see if the state ever does approve a actual bill for our budget for education, then we will for sure see new dollars coming into the district. Right now, we are using old law. So what is going to happen for next year? And so again, when we budgeted at the very beginning of this past school year, when I say past, I mean current, 14,000 even, we are already anticipating that next year's budget would be 14,500. Additional funding, and again, we're just using round numbers, about $4 million there. If the state actually does approve the budget, we are again anticipating another $3 million. If nothing happens by this school year, we will anticipate that that funding will happen next year, which is 2025. And so even though it's already been allocated at the state level, it has not been distributed to the local level, which is the school districts. My initial estimate is that we should hear something by May, when the elections have already occurred, the new people are in office, and then they hold a special session for the budget. As we talked about earlier about pay increases, again, 2,000 for the teachers, 3% for all other staff at midpoint. We're anticipating about $4 million for that type of cost. And for the incentive retention stipend, we're talking about $2,000 per full-time employee, about $4.4 million. Now, as people retire and we hire, I'm just gonna call them new staff, a lot of times the salary is less. We're anticipating at least $1 million savings there in different cost of salaries. Now, when we come back again in the June meeting, we are anticipating a balanced budget. So these are some of the big ticket items, whether they're positives or negatives, that will help us get it to a balanced budget. So just as a reminder, budget workshop number 3 is going to be the big meeting, because I know some of the board members had requested a more in-depth budget workshop. So the whole deep dive will be in May. I just need to find out the official date that we're going to do that. June 25th, which is the meeting that we will adopt the budget. Not necessarily the tax rate at that time, because in July, we get the final numbers from the county. And so at the August meeting, we should already have those numbers and be ready to adopt a tax rate. And if the tax value does go up, then more likely our tax rate will go down. But we are anticipating at the minimum, or maximum really, a 1 cent increase from one year to the next. And so that's budget workshop number 2.
Any comments or questions from any board members? Go ahead and speak if you do.
I have one on that slide that you have projected enrollment. Are we doing that on our own, or did we hire like a demographic company or anything like that?
So we did have a demographic company do a study for last year.
I'm gonna look at the TV because I just see your eyes.
No problem, no problem. And so, but we do work with our PEMS department and technology to actually predict and project out what is going to happen for next year.
Because there's a lot of new developments all over the place.
The demographic study said there was about 80 different developments all around town.
And that's all they think that will translate to enrollment, that increase?
What I'm hoping is that this is the lowest prediction, and we will easily beat these numbers. But for budget purposes, I'm always going to be super conservative, and that's what we're going to be using for just budget purposes.
Yeah, because I'm just driving around, right? You kind of have the concern. Some of our schools they already have the capacity is pretty high. So are we looking at maybe having to build new schools, or we're not there yet?
From what I hear, the 3 elementaries that are about 1,000, again, those are probably going to be staying the same. It's at the other 7 elementaries that we need to get to full capacity. Mm-hmm. Once you're about 90-95% of a good portion of those campuses, then that's when we really need to find out where is that growth for a potential school.
Okay.
But right now they are anticipating just a 1% growth per year. And just to give you a little insight, before the first year showing of what was the activity for the enrollment, we were already at 17,000. So we haven't hit 17,000 in about 5-6 years. So the hope would be that once we hit closer to 18,000, then that's when we would really need to start checking into what would it be to get another campus.
Yeah, but it's exciting stuff. It's good.
It is. And so you see all the new developments, the new restaurants, the new stores. Again, that attracts people. And so that's a great thing that the city's doing. But we know that schools is also a big reason why people move to Weslaco. And so if we're showing that, hey, we're going to have new ACs, new playground, all this investment in sports and fine arts, I mean, that would help sales all these developments of what the things that we are doing here at Weslaco ISD.
I agree. And then and I know that this isn't on the table, but I'm just curious, have you done the analysis of how much money we're leaving on the table without going for a VATRE?
We would need to go back and see. We can talk with our financial advisors to see what would it take to, or what would be the potential outcomes of those pennies that we would add. I could always reach out to them and we could get at least
I don't think it'd be on the table this year, but maybe the following year to kind of, because we are leaving money on the table by not doing that. But
from what I hear, that's one of the items.
VATRE?
voter approved tax ratification election. So I know that November, I don't think that the board or the district would be interested in that, but maybe in the year after, that could be something that we look at with respect to funding, because it'd be about 3 or 5 pennies that we're leaving on the.
Something to that, yeah. I know in Brownsville, they went ahead and did that this past year. Again, it's just like when we asked the people to vote, it's.
It actually might make more sense to do it after the next session, because there's going to be another compression. So we could talk about it then.
There you go.
Okay, that's all I got.
Mr. Anthony, did you have a question?
I do have a question, but, pertaining to salaries, yes, Dr. Rivera would love to give all staff members and teachers more than what we're allowing this year. Had we received the money from the state, it probably would have been more. A few years ago, we gave $4,000 raises because we got the money from the state. But think about it. Compared to the state, yes, we're not up there compared to Dallas or Houston or San Antonio area. But if you look at the Rio Grande Valley schools, in the past 8-9 years, Weslaco has been one of the top in salaries for teachers and, of course, for administrators too. Correct, Dr. Rivera? And I understand that a lot of the stipends do not count towards retirement, but think about it. Weslaco does provide a lot for all staff. And if we could provide more, we would. We had the public comments earlier and appreciate that information. But like I said before, if we could afford it and we could sustain it, yes, definitely, I would recommend more for salary for everybody, not just teachers, everybody.
Thank
Can
you.
I piggyback off of that?
Yes, sir.
Going off of what Mr. Nieto said, if you look at what other districts are going to do as far as increases, it's not going to be most of them are not going to be as good as our increase. So, I mean, just we don't live in a bubble. We live in with all the context that everybody's going around. And if you watch other board meetings, there's talk of deficit, and there's not talk of deficit here. Right. So.
And just so I can add also, going back to your slide, Mr. Robledo, about the Brownsville ISD, one sentence that caught my attention on here was Governor Greg Abbott and his allies are insisting on approval of a school voucher plan as the condition for releasing $31 billion in public school funding. So, I mean, that's a major amount of money that the governor does not want to release because it's conditional on vouchers. So that's a big hit. It's a big hit. One question that I had, and this might not pertain to this school year, I don't remember, but I had a question sent to me today by a teacher, and they said, are we still doing that Teacher of the Year or Rookie of the Year stipend? Is that included in this or in this year's budget, or are we not doing that anymore?
Yes, we are.
We are doing that still this
We're
year.
continuing with that.
And we're going to continue next year also? It's already in the budget?
For this year, for sure. Dr.
Okay.
Rivera approved that, so we are continuing with that.
Okay, well, that's another good little motivational
No, that's something that we'll have to approve this year.
for next, okay. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Robledo, for your information.
Thank you.
Thank you for the budget workshop. And that takes us to the adjournment of our workshop.
So,
All right, Mr. Nieto, thank you. It's 5:50 p.m. We have adjourned our workshop, and we'll continue on to the regular board meeting. And before I begin, I would just like to thank District Court Judge Marla Cuellar, who's here joining us today. Ms. Cuellar, thank you for being here today. We saw you back there and just wanted to say hello and thank you for coming here. All right, we'll begin with the regular board workshop. And I'll begin again. Regular board meeting. Good evening, I'm Jacqueline Sustaita, President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This regular board meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time is now 5:51 p.m. and I'll call this meeting to order. I'll now begin roll call. Trustee Rodriguez?
Present.
Perfect timing. Trustee Cuellar?
Present.
Trustee Castillo?
Present.
Trustee Trevino? Trustee Nieto?
Present.
Trustee De Los Santos?
Present.
Good timing, too. All right, let the record show that a quorum of board members is in attendance. We'll continue on to item number 3, invocation. Mr. Elias Trevino, Director of Assessment and Accountability.
Thank you so much. Would you be so kind to bow your heads and let us pray? Heavenly Father, our Lord Jesus Christ, how great and mighty you are. We honor and glorify your holy name. Thank you for the gift of life, health, family, friends, strength, and physical ability to work to provide for our families. Thank you for your faithfulness and protection over the lives of our students, staff, and families. We thank you for the blessing of gathering once again as a corporate body and the privilege to serve this most beautiful community of Weslaco. Father, as is always our petition, we ask you to continue to bless and grant greater wisdom to our Superintendent, Dr. Richard Rivera, and our amazing board. There is abundant blessing and joy in serving others wholeheartedly and expecting nothing in return. Lord, may your will be done in our board meetings. Help us to maintain integrity in what you have left in our care. Your word clearly declares that everything we do, whether in word or action, let it be done unto you. Pour over our students, administrators, staff, and teachers wisdom, integrity, patience, and the physical and mental strength to finish this year strong. Help us to make every day count. We ask you all this in your precious, glorious, and mighty name of Jesus. And everyone says, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. We'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge with Mr. Daniel Bedimer.
Thank you. At this time, we'd ask everyone to please stand, place their right hand over their heart, and face the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we'd ask everyone to remain standing, right hand over their heart, and turn towards the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Bedimer. We now have awards and recognitions.
Madam President, Dr. Rivera, members of the board, good evening. Tonight we want to start off with our awards and recognition, and we would like to recognize some athletes as they walk into the room. How about a big hand? Come on in, ladies. We'd like to introduce the Weslaco High School girls basketball team for their outstanding season. The girls team clinched the District 32 6A championship and by-district title and were area finalists. This marks the 11th district title for the Lady Panthers in the last 18 years and the 14th consecutive by-district title. How about we give them a round of applause? Several team members received postseason awards. We would like to recognize those individuals right now. Earning a spot on the all-district team, third team selection. And if you could just wave so we know who you are. We have Jaylyn Garcia. Making the District 32 6A second team, we have Leila Lopez. Also, second team, 32 6A, we have Carmen Gonzalez. We have all district first team, second team RGV BCA team selection, Victoria Trevino. We have unanimous selection to the all district and first team and also all defensive team. She was also nominated to the Real Sports Live Showcase, and she was RGV BCA all defensive team. We have Drea Arredondo. Named 32 6A Offensive Player of the Year and was nominated for the Vipers Showcase and Real Sports Live Showcase, Isabel Magallanes. The next individual was named District 32 6A Most Valuable Player, unanimous. She was also part of the Texas Association Basketball Coaches All-Region Team and All-Academic Team. She was nominated to the Vipers Showcase and Real Sports Live Showcase. Also, RGV BCA First Team Selection, Remy Medina. We would also like to recognize the coaches. We have First Assistant David Medina, Assistants Coach Hernandez, Coach Ortiz, Coach Moses, Coach Contreras, and we would like to recognize the 32 6A Coach of the Year, the head coach of the Lady Panthers, Griselda Fino. We'd also like to recognize parents. Parents, can you please stand and be recognized? Once again, congratulations, ladies. You may exit this way. You want to take a quick photo? Yes. Let's take a quick photo. All right. Tonight, we also want to congratulate the 2024 Weslaco High School boys basketball team for an outstanding season. How about a big hand as they enter the room? All right. So the boys team, they clinched the 32 6A championship and by-district title and also were area finalists. So let's have a big round of applause for the Weslaco Panthers. We have several team members who received postseason distinctions. So as I say your name, if you could just wave to the crowd as I say a few words about you, okay? We want to start off with this individual, Texas High School Coaches Association All-Academic Honorable Mention List, Chris Chavez. Also, we have the Texas High School Coaches Association All-Academic Second Team, Anthony Gomez. Making the District 32 6A Third Team, Cade Lopez. Making the District 32 6A Second Team, Kai Fino. This individual was selected to the 32 6A All-District Defensive Team and the Texas High School Coaches Association All-Academic Second Team. Also named to the Rio Grande Valley Basketball Coaches Association East All-Star Team, Nate Aguilar. This individual was unanimously selected to the 32 6A First Team. He was also selected to the Rio Grande Valley Basketball Coaches Association All-Valley First Team, Pete Cantu. Up next, selected to the District 32 6A First Team unanimous. He was also selected to the Rio Grande Valley Basketball Coaches Association All-Valley First Team and was selected to the Rio Grande Valley Basketball Coaches Association East-West All-Star Team, Jake Ramirez. This individual was named 32-6A Defensive Most Valuable Player, the Rio Grande Valley Basketball Coaches Association All-Valley Defensive MVP. He also earned Texas High School Coaches Association All-Academic Honorable Mention, also selected to the Vipers and the Rio Grande Valley Basketball Coaches Association East-West All-Star Team, Noah Casares. Tonight, we would also like to recognize the coaches. We have Mike Yanez, Isaac Camacho, Julius Marquez, Nate Salazar, Roman Marquez. Also tonight, we'd also like to recognize the 32-6A Coach of the Year and recently inducted into the Rio Grande Valley, or I should say UTRGV Athletic Hall of Fame, played for the Pan Am Bronx from 1987 to 1991. He is the Panthers' head coach in basketball, Gabe Valdez. Parents, if you're here, parents, can you please stand and be recognized? Parents. Yes. Yes, of course. Yes. Played for Gabe Valdez, played for Weslaco High School, and recently he was inducted into the UTRGV Sports Hall of Fame and now UTRGV Hall of Fame. So congratulations, Coach Valdez. So tonight, we once again want to celebrate our campuses that have successfully increased attendance during the 5th 6 weeks of school, meeting and surpassing our average daily attendance goals benefits our district and, most importantly, our students. Meeting the district's ADA standard 5th 6 weeks, we'll start off with a 98.81 attendance rate, South Palm Gardens High School. Attendance rate of 97.56, Kleckler Held Elementary. Attendance rate of 96.02, Central Middle School. Attendance rate of 95.79, Dr. Armando Cuellar Middle School. An attendance rate of 95.59, Mary Hogue Middle School. An attendance rate of 95.2, B. Garza Middle School. Campuses achieving near standard average daily attendance, we have Airport Drive Elementary. Up next, A.N. Tony Rico Elementary. Also achieving near standard average daily attendance, Memorial Elementary. Up next, we have Sam Houston Elementary. And one more campus to recognize with near standard average daily attendance, Rudy Silva Elementary. Yes, sir. Okay. Let's take a quick photo, Mindy. So I'll just... Oh, if y'all can come down, step down a little bit so we can get everybody together. Yeah. Step down. There we go. You want me to pull this out?
Oh, it's okay to stay the same. Okay. Okay, here we go. So 1, 2, 3. And last one.
Once again, congratulations, principals.
Yes, thank you, principals and staff, for all your hard work getting those kids to school. We'll move on to number
one more,
6.
one more.
Oh, sorry, there's
Got
one more. Okay.
One more, and then I'll turn it over to you,
On
Madam
my
President.
agenda.
Tonight, we'd like to acknowledge a special recognition from our community. For many years, our Weslaco ISD family has actively participated in the United Way of South Texas organization. Representing United Way, Vice President and Resource Development Director Janet Berazas and United Way Board Member J.J. Serrano present Weslaco ISD with the Golden Apple Award and honor our district as a top 5 school district contributor during this year's campaign. The school district was able to contribute over $39,000. We would also like to thank the WISD Parent and Family Engagement Coordinator, Erica Garcia, who serves as the United Way liaison on behalf of the school district.
Come on over.
You take a quick photo? Here.
Just stand behind them. Stand behind them, or just them? Oh, they have it? Maybe more to the middle? So we can be behind you?
And that concludes our awards and recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you once again to everybody who came for their awards and recognitions and for all you do for our district. Okay, we'll move on to the proclamations. And I'll go ahead and read those. Weslaco Independent School District has a long-standing tradition of excellence and strives to bring together all resources to provide our students and staff with the best opportunities for success. Therefore, I, Jacqueline Sustaita, President of the Weslaco Independent School District Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Celebrate the Arts Month, Better Speech and Hearing Month, National Mental Awareness Month. And we proclaim in May 2024 School Lunch Hero Day, that's May the 3rd, National School Nurse Day, which is May the 8th, Teacher Appreciation Week, May 6 to 10, and the National Police Week, May 12 to 18. So if you can have a round of applause for anybody in those departments and organizations. And if we have anybody here that belongs to any departments or organizations, do we have anybody here? Okay, no. Well, to that end, Weslaco ISD acknowledges and celebrates initiatives in departments and organizations that join in our efforts to develop, expand, and enrich our and learning environment for students, parents, and employees. So thank you to all those who are involved in those departments and organizations. All right, we'll move on to item number 7, public comments.
We have one.
Okay. Thank you. Even though we already know, can you please state again your name and address?
My name is Israel Gonzalez, address 1609 Sunset Lane, Palmhurst, Texas, 78573.
Thank you. Now I'm going to read the paragraph once again. Pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, the Board of Trustees may not deliberate on any comment made by a member of the public on a subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. As per the Texas Attorney General, the scope of board discussion for a subject not part of this meeting agenda is limited to only a proposal by a board member to place a subject on a future board agenda. Specific factual information or recitation of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the portion of the meeting designated for that purpose. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless recognized by the presiding officer. No public comment presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. Any disruptive behavior by any speaker may result in the speaker's removal from participation in the meeting. Please be mindful of using names or personally identifiable information, as there is no immunity from defamatory comments while participating in public comments. You have 3 minutes. Do we have it ready? Secretary? Okay. Can you let him know at 1 minute? When he has 1 minute left, and you can go ahead and start.
My presentation is called Building Better Communities Through Schools. Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu tells us children are actors and they act out what they see in us. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been in the news recently, and not in a good way. I take offense to this because it looks bad on me as an educator. I'm on one of those campuses. What's happening is adults aren't focused on what they're supposed to do, and as a result, neither are the students. One of the things that I wish I could project up here is the report on violent or criminal incidents. I wanted to ask is, are we all reporting? I know that on my campus, I know several things are occurring and they're not here. This year, we can add arson to the list. House Bill 114 has a lot of, tells us we have a lot of recourse. Texas can do, it's a state that's not friendly to vapes, so there's definitely recourse there. I'm asking that we use the Texas Family Code to strengthen student learning outcomes and to strengthen the community. If we hold the parents accountable, then the parent will hold the child accountable. I'm specifically talking to administrators, principals, and central office, to be specific. We need to stop the gaslighting. We need to stop this is happening everywhere. We need to stop just because certain things happen everywhere doesn't mean it's okay. There's a lot of crimes that happen all over the world, but that doesn't mean that there aren't penalties. Our consistency is legendary, but I'm talking legendary like Bigfoot. We've all heard about it, but we don't really see it. Trustee Castillo had a great question. I thought it had to do with accountability, curriculum, and instruction. Responded, and I quote, "Our curriculum and instruction team is actually on campus supporting administrators and teachers through their weekly PLCs. So making sure that first, lesson plans are very intentional, targeted through delivery of instruction in the classroom." That's a non-starter. That dog don't hunt. That is what they described there is new teacher support. We need to do a little bit better than that.
You have 1 minute, sir.
One of the things that was brought up, they brought up how they also are involved in the high quality instruction material. Then they should take credit, or at least take partial credit for at my campus. Mind you, my school fell 2 letter grades. I applaud you, Trustee Castillo, for asking those questions. What's the plan to address that? My campus fell 2, and I suppose curriculum instruction should also take credit for the ELAR. 62% of our material was high quality instruction, only 22% of mathematics. Something was mentioned about the community and the taxpayers seeing when we get closer to the end of the spring semester, they're going to see how much the administration is working to take care of their tax dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, as that old congressman says, frothy eloquence neither convinces or satisfies me. You have got to show me. Just to respond to that comment that was made about the raise for teachers, if I can be given an extra minute to finish that thought. to respond. It was mentioned that the teachers were given a $4,000 raise. That I will remind you, the Texas legislature set it at $5,000, and it was actually closer to a little, just north of $3,000. Perhaps we can look at the other individuals that benefited from the raise. I don't know, but I do want to bring up that, and we are a little bit hurt by that. So I just wanted to respond to that.
Time's up, sir.
Thank you so much for your time. You have a blessed rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, item 8, Superintendent's report.
Yes. Let me start by talking about the budget. On the slide here, for the 24 budget, our budget ADA was set at 14,000. If any amount is lower than this, we have to return money. If it's higher, we get the additional monies. So on B, I'm happy to report that so far, the surplus at the end of the 5th 6 weeks is $4.7 million. And this is due to the increase of the ADA over 14,000. I want to commend our staff, our teachers, our students, our parents, everyone involved, because had it not been for them, the 4.7 would not be here. And then on next year, the budget is based on 14,500. So with that, we'll go from 14 to 14,500, an additional $4 million. So both together is over almost $9 million. Had we not worked very hard on this, all principals, teachers, staff, parents, the $9 million would not be there, and actually there would be no increase for teachers because the state did not provide any monies. So without this increase, you're talking about 4,000 is not enough. Well, it would have been zero had the ADA not been where it is right now. So because, again, all the work that was done, we're going to get the additional monies to be able to come up with a pay raise. Again, no increase, zero pay increase. So again, I want to commend everyone here because of this, we're able to go ahead and do something for our teachers, for our staff, the ones that are very important in the work that they do. On page 2, with the additional monies, and again, let me state here that the state did not provide any monies at all. Right now, you're aware of the governor, what he wants to do. So there's no new monies at all. So again, we were in the red when I came here, $16 million through different things. We've been able to do a lot of projects, but for next year, the 25 budget, we're going to include some of the things that I've listed here. We're going to have additional teachers due to the student enrollment and the growth. We're going to add some classroom furniture, and with this comes supplies. I was not aware that a teacher in our district did not have textbooks. I'm going to follow up. That's unacceptable. So again, with the new monies, we're looking into furniture. We're looking into materials for teachers, also school buses. Also, we have maintenance equipment for next year, vehicles, trucks, backhoe, tractors, trencher. We're going to increase the classroom technology, the sensory rooms to assist with student needs. We're going to go ahead and go with the baseball, softball, turf at both high schools, the stadium lighting upgrades, some bleachers for the stadium at Central Middle School. We're going to look at extracurricular travel, the meals, academics, athletics, and then the portable water hydration systems for co-curricular programs. This is especially in the summer when it's hot, the kids are able to get the water with them. And also with a band, there's going to be, in the summer, it's real hot, so we're going to purchase some tents for both bands through the extreme heat and for their safety. On page 4, I want to go over the status of the bond finances of $160 million. With the help of everyone, we're able to do this. And as Mr. Castillo mentioned, the tax rate election, we chose to have a bond election because it meant more money than the TRE. But we're going to explore the TRE soon. And in addition to that, I want to go ahead and maybe soon start looking at a committee of all staff, teachers, everyone involved, so we can look at a second bond election, maybe in 2 years, 3 years, as we look at a new high school, as we look at new schools. So as we grow, we have to add more buildings, more schools to Weslaco ISD. And again, this is something in 2 years, 3 years, we're going to look into this, into that possibility. I know that a third high school would be at $100 million. So they're very, very expensive. So again, we have a very low tax rate. Our citizens approved $160 million. But in 2 years, 3 years, we may go back to them again to look at facilities. On the $160 million, the bonds will be sold on May the 1st, and we're hoping for a high rate. And on May 30th, we're going to receive $160 million for the bond election, and we're going to begin investing the bonds. And the interest is, I'm talking about $4 or $5 million that we're going to use for either A, B, or C, the projects that we had. And for example, the ag barn is going to be brand new, so it might be a little more than what we budgeted. And so with the interest, we can cover that. We can cover the demolition of the old central gym for the new middle school cafeteria as part of the bond election. And again, look at the turfs, the baseball, softball fields with this interest. But again, we're looking at $4, $5, $6 million based on the interest. And beginning on June the 26th, we're going to give the board a report every month instead of quarterly. So again, on the $160 million, I'm told by Estrada Hinojosa that Weslaco ISD, this is the largest one held in the Rio Grande Valley. So I want to commend again our citizens, our staff, everyone for doing this. The money will be used wisely on the things that are needed. We were falling behind in just about every area, so now we're catching up. On page 5, this is the proposed new Pete Abrigo Ag Barn that's part of the bond election. It's located by Gonzalez and Rudy Silva, and we're going to expand the facility to be a first rate. We're going to keep the present ag building facility until the new one is built to make sure that that program is covered. And by moving the ag building to the new site, that leaves space there for the running track at Big Garza. That's part of the bond election. And on tonight's agenda, there's an item there to select the architect and the method of construction for the Pete Abrigo facility. And we'll get to that later in the agenda, but there's some architects that are listed there that you approved that have experience in building ag facilities. On page 6, this is the proposed new Central Middle School cafeteria that's also part of the bond election. And again, on tonight's agenda, under action, there's a plan for the board to select from the list that you provided, that you interviewed. From that list, you're going to give us your recommendation for the selection of the architect. The old gym, the one at Central Middle School, has been abandoned. It's a safety hazard, and it's too expensive to restore. So again, by knocking down that old gym, we can build the new cafeteria at that site. And we're exploring options for the existing cafeteria. On page 7, I want to give you the status of the maintenance projects. And A is at the stadium. And what we're going to need here is to meet the cooperative process and the 3-month timeline for the lighting to be ready for August. We're going to proceed with your assistance. We're going to proceed with the project and have an agenda for ratification in May. This gives us time to make sure that this project is complete by August. The activity buses have been ordered. We should get 2 of these in May and then the other 2 in November. The chairlift for the stadium, the project is under design phase right now, and it'll be good for the citizens that are on wheelchairs to be able to go up up the stadium and be able to view the game from there. The digital billboard is currently out on bids. We anticipate completion in September of '24. Portable AC units. Today we met with Trinity, and we're on the same page now as to what happened. Staff tells me that they're behind about 6 months. So we should have this project completed at Memorial, Northbridge, and Airport. It's going to take a year. So anticipating very hot weather during this time, and these buildings, these schools will need repair. We want to buy these portable AC units to ensure that if they go down, we'll have the air conditioning needed at these schools to be able to use, and our kids won't be in hot classrooms. And again, once these units, they're going to be used for a year, then after that, they'll be used as needed. But it's very important, looking ahead, being proactive, to get these units purchased so that when the school year starts, that we'll have cool classrooms. And again, I met with Trinity. We had a good discussion today, and we should come to the board in May for the board to approve the contractor to do this work. But it's going to take a year. It's not going to be something that we can do in a few months. It's going to be about a year for us to complete it. Now, this is not part of the bond election. This was done before using fund balance monies. On page 8, a very good project from the county, this Hidalgo County Hike and Bike Trail by Memorial. We're going to grant them an easement. The easement is not going to affect our playground or anything. Is there kind of where you have the levees, where you have the little drainage ditch? And again, it's north by John Knox Village. And we asked the county to install a new 8-foot wrought iron fence that will meet the state requirements and match the existing fence on border. And the reason for this is to prevent the walkers not to be able to go and enter Memorial. And they're going to also provide a screen so the walkers cannot look inside our playgrounds at Memorial. Again, a very good project for the community, and it's not going to cost us anything. The county will provide the fence that we need. On page 9, we're looking for a revision for the interlocal agreement between the city of Weslaco and Weslaco ISD on the pond. If you pass by Big Garza, you can see that it's a very big pond. It's going to benefit the community for floods. But the concern that we had was that when the board approved this originally, before my time, it was approved on March 26, 2021, and the depth was going to be 5 feet, and they were going to build a 4 feet link fence. So without consulting with us, the city went ahead and went down 8 feet, but it looks deeper than that. So it creates a safety issue. So we're asking them to build, again, this iron fence that will surround the area when that pond is full of water. And I'm asking the city to provide a liability for us, and an agenda will be there next month or whenever the city is ready. But we're not going to approve. The board already approved the interlocal agreement, but now we want a revision to include the items that are here. And that's non-negotiable. On page 10, we have the update on the self-funded health insurance. And good figures to report that as of March, compared to last year, you can see the difference in claims, the RX, the fixed cost, the total amount is lower than last year. The funding is about $20 million. Through March, we spent 11.7. So there's a balance of 8.3 million left, and we're self-funded. So if you go over this amount, you have to hit your fund balance. If you go lower, we get to keep the money in our fund balance. On the bottom, I have A, B, and C. Right now, we have a fund balance from last year of 1.3 million. Through the rebates, we have 1.5 million. And the rebates, this is the last year. So there's no more ESSER funding. So again, it's a standalone, and the administration will be recommending to renew with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Is the first year in May, contingent on receiving comparable rates. If they come up here, we'll play hardball with them. If they come up here with a big increase, we just go ahead and go out for new proposals. But we feel comfortable, we've been in contact with them, feel comfortable they will come through and stay within the comparable figures. So again, we're playing big league ball with them. We're not playing little league. On page 11, this is the self-funded workers' comp plan. You can see that compared to last year, we have less claims. And again, we're self-funded. And the estimated funding we have in our budget is $460. We spent $280 so far. So the reserves are $180. We do have a fund balance of $203,000. And we work with our staff to make sure we have the trainings to ensure that our employees handle themselves where they don't get hurt. Not taking chances in getting hurt, because this adds to the workers' compensation expenses. The last slide that I have is school safety and the culture of schools. I'm old school. I'm very committed to having safe schools. We want to have a safe environment where the students can thrive socially, academically, without being afraid. Fights, there have been fights since I was in school. We still have fights. Now it's a little bit different. Some of the kids record the fights, but I can tell you I'm old school, and I can tell you, and I told the principals, that when a fight occurs, there has to be consequences. Severe consequences, either suspension, campus AP, but there has to be consequences. I shared with the board that I have a weekly report where I'm showing the number of fights that occurred for that week. So the principals are aware, and I want that school, I want the principal, the staff, teachers, everyone to be visible to be able to prevent fights from occurring. I want to make sure that we do the counseling also with the kids. Sometimes you can talk to kids, do contracts with them before a fight occurs. But fights are everywhere throughout the nation. Again, repeating myself, we had fights when I was in high school. We're not going to continue having fights, but there has to be consequences for these kids that fight. We're not going to condone it. We're going to take swift action with consequences. Our schools are going to be safe, and our principals are going to be able to do this job. You're going to have to monitor and stop these fights, because that's part of their job. It's not just the principal, it's the staff around them, it's the staff, it's the teachers, everyone involved to ensure a safe school. And we want a culture where the kids, where the community, where they feel safe bringing their kids to Weslaco High, Weslaco East, the 4 middle schools, and the elementaries. On E, I want to make sure the principals are aware that when there's out-of-valley trips, we need proper supervision. The sponsors need to be there, do door checks, whatever it takes, but we cannot have our kids going on out-of-valley trips where they're not safe and things happen. There has to be consequences. The goal, again, is to ensure safe and high-quality learning environments, a good culture in our schools where the parents feel safe that when they take their kids to school, their kids are going to be safe. If they don't feel safe, then it's our job to correct it. That's my report. If you have any questions on any of these slides.
Go ahead.
I have a comment on the out-of-valley school trips, and I know we talked about this in a previous session. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know the situation is we usually block rooms, and we usually have a scenario where there's chaperones, there's coaches involved and whatnot, there's staff, and they're in a block set of rooms, and at one point they have lights out, right? There's that situation, but I know from other schools, it's just happening kind of. I think now things have changed, and you're seeing it happen more and more. And I think it's in the best interest of the student, it's in the best interest of the staff member, that when you have to, or consider that supervision, the schedule that they have. I mean, when they go out there and they're there for, they're going to stay there a night or two, Do they have like a rotation where it's like, hey, every 2 hours, I'm gonna sit out here in the hallway, I'll be on my phone, I'll go wake up the next person? They like, like a rotating schedule where they're in the hallways to make sure that the kids don't get out of their rooms. And the only reason I'm saying this is I think anybody listening that has kids knows that if they're there, it's lights out and nobody's in that hallway, the chances of someone, for whatever reason, leaving the room is very high. And I don't know what our criteria is, and I'm saying this in the protection of the students, and it's in protection of the staff, because the staff is going to be in a situation where they're now going to have to justify actions that night after the fact. And it's just kind of a preventive measure if we really look at the process. Because I know I've asked around, I've asked different people, how do you all do it? And they said, well, we have a lights out, and we tell the students, and there's consequences, but that's if you catch them. And sometimes incidents happen, and they come out after the fact, and then it's now the staff member that's in the corner saying, well, what did you do, and what did you implement to avoid this? And so if we're proactive and look at our process, if we don't have it, is that something that we could do? Where you have someone that say, you know what, every 2 hours, I'm just gonna be sitting out there and making sure nobody leaves the room, and they just kind of rotate. And I'm just saying for safety, because you're seeing it all over the valley where sports, all types of programs that are leaving and staying overnight are sometimes having problems and issues. What is our process here that we have? Or is that something similar kind of to the general setting that everybody else has?
Being a former coach, and when we had to go to regionals, and I believe the track teams are going to be going to regionals in the next few weeks,
Right.
we did have our head coach, Coach Platt, would assign us to check the rooms at certain times and so forth, but also talk to the players about what we expected from them.
Yes.
Good points.
Yeah, good points.
Just food for thought.
Okay, thank you, Mr. De Los Santos. Any other questions or comments?
I have a couple.
Mr. Castillo?
Go ahead. Hey, Doc, on the school safety, well, first of all, Doc, I want to tell you thank you, and I think that you're doing an amazing job, and I'm very, very proud to call you my superintendent.
Thank you.
The information that you're presenting to us is amazing. I get to sit in on other board meetings, and it's not all that in other places. So thank you, Doc, for the work that you're doing. Thank you to your staff and to everybody who helps you out. On the school safety and culture of schools, Doc, I would really, really like, again, I statement, if we could explore the gates, the checking at the gates. I saw another district that has this. It's not just idea. Santa Maria ISD has it. I was at a board meeting over there the other day, and I drove by their high school, and they have that system at their gate where you have to check in there. And I think that would be another enhanced layer of security and to make parents feel safe that they're dropping off their kids with us. Not that they're not safe now, but just even more layers of safety. So
Yes, we can look into that.
Thank you, Doc. On the HVAC, as far as Trinity is concerned, you stated that you met with them today.
Yes, good meeting.
You feel that you addressed all the issues that we're having and that everything's taken care of
Good meeting.
moving forward? Okay. Yeah, it's disappointing to hear that we're 6 months behind budget, but I trust you, and I know that, like you said, you play big league ball. So if you say it's taken care of, it's taken care of. All right. On the Central Middle School cafeteria, Doc, I know that you said that it was too expensive to renovate.
Yes.
But is there any way that maybe we could look into saving maybe the entrance or something, just kind of an old remnant? I know some schools do that when they build new schools. They demolish the entire thing, but they leave like maybe an old sign or something, just kind of.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, just kind of to remind everybody.
When we do the new band hall, we can take a look at that.
Yeah, like in PSJ, they left the old Alamo Middle School sign, and Pecos, they left the old archway.
We can take a look at it.
I don't know if that's something we could look at, but since it's a very old building, right? I think y'all stated, some of y'all went to school there.
We can look into that. As the new cafeteria is built, cafeteria in the band hall.
Some of y'all.
You're doing good, Ben.
My comment is for y'all.
It's not that old. I think it's 1950. Around 1950 when it was built.
There you go, awesome.
Well, to some, it's old, 1950. Right? not to me.
Yeah, those are the only comments I have, Doc.
Okay, Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes, question regarding the, question came up regarding the detention pond at B-Cars. Just to clarify to the public, that pond it's not going to have standing water 100% of the time, correct? It's just for excess runoff, excess rain. So it's going to be just short-term.
It's supposed to drain out?
Drain
over
out.
time, Yes.
Good, okay. Just wanted to clarify that. I know it came up. Just want to make sure the public is aware that it's not going to have water, at all times there.
But somebody will be monitoring to make sure
Yes.
that something doesn't stop it from gravity flow.
Yes.
If not, we'll have ducks in there having little ducklings and all that
Yes.
stuff. But yeah, it's important to make sure, because it's gonna accumulate trash. And that's what causes some of that stagnant water, so as long as they keep cleaning it and doing what they're supposed to do.
Supposed to drain out quickly, right?
Yeah. Right, Americo? But you know what I'm talking about, right? Because it's happened before.
One comment I have about the chairlift. You mentioned the stadium. At this last conference that we were at, something caught my eye from another district in their presentation, and I know I texted you guys about it, and it's called the Golden Pass. And what this is, this district, in order to get their community more involved, they invite senior citizens, I think like 65 or older, to come to events, football games, fine arts, for free. They get a golden pass. They might not have kids, they might not have grandkids in the district, but they want to know what's going on also. And so to let them in for free, these districts, to introduce them to what's happening at schools, they give them a golden pass. And I thought that was just really neat. And I don't know if it's against UIL rules or we can do it or not, but I think our senior citizens deserve something like that from the district, and just to see what's going on with our kids.
We'll take a look
So
at
if we
it.
can look into that, and get a
take a look
golden
at it.
pass for our senior citizens to come check out what we're doing.
Our golden citizen.
Golden citizens, senior citizens.
I forgot one thing, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Doc, on the controls on those HVAC units, I know there's been some questions on that, and I guess the only comment that I want to make is, I know this is a non-bond project, but this is going to lay the foundation for bond projects.
Yes.
If we do, again, another I statement, I would prefer that everything is open and available to bid, even if it's I know that it makes sense to have one set of controls, but to start that process now.
It was resolved at the meeting this morning.
Okay.
We're gonna do it.
I had I'm gonna piggyback off of that topic. On the controls, proprietary versus non-proprietary controls, right? That's a thing, right? When proprietary controls are ones that are managed and only, you only have access depending on it's only limited to one company or one source, right? That can actually, service those controls and whatnot. And then there's non-proprietary where those are kind of open and you can mix and match machines. Am I right around the?
Yes, you're correct, sir.
Correct. And so, and which route are we going when we're going to focus on that? Are we going down the non-proprietary, which is maybe more accessible to other services and vendors, lower cost for maintenance, et cetera? Or are we going the proprietary route? Or is that going to be discussed?
So the market is pretty much moving towards the open protocol type of control systems, and only because of that, because they don't want to stay behind, they don't want to be left out.
Right.
Everybody's moving towards that.
Okay.
So where and our experience has been where we've tried it before we used to have a couple of open protocol systems, or control languages, if you will.
Right.
And so we elected to go the route of one, or selected one of them, and then it proved that it wasn't working out too well. Maybe that was the initial stages or the birth of this open systems that was coming about. And then we shifted over to the other one. Now again, at that point, the district grew to as many as 8 different controls systems in the district, which is not recommended, because it just lends itself to more cost with training and so forth, and be able to maintain 8 systems is very difficult. So we're trying to limit it down to 2 to 3 systems at the most to make sure that we create competition. But yeah, we try to stick with open protocols or whatever they have.
Right.
But the other experience we've had is where we try to buy, say, a control board, a circuit board from a company A, and then company B is the one that has the software in the district. So we tell them, integrate it, bring it on board.
Right.
And we've been told, well, since you didn't buy it from us, I can't guarantee it. And so there's still, the kinks that need to be worked out.
Okay.
So we still have a preference. If there's a company that comes in, we tell them, okay, you take care of the controls, because we ensure that they're not going to come back and say, I can't guarantee you whatever you bought is going to work with mine, because we can't control what they do. And so we prefer it that way, and then just open it up to 2 or 3 controls companies to be able to create that competition. Even though they're still open, they remain open. We have that option.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So it is going to be open.
Yes, oh, it is. Everybody's going to open systems to make sure that they're able to get the business.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Any further questions, comments? Okay. That takes us over to item number 9, Lone Star Governance. And just to remind everybody, what we talked about last month, we have our goals, board goals and constraints, and we're focusing on 1 or 2 every month. So this month, one day, Dr. Solano, Ms. Solano will be speaking about math, correct? Okay.
Thank you and good evening, Madam President,
Good
board
evening.
members, Rivera, and community. So I'll start. This is our board monitoring calendar that got adopted in January. So I'll start with our student outcome goals. Goal 2, our GPM tonight will be 2.1 and 2.3, focusing on the middle of the year map data for math, kinder through 2nd grade. Again, these GPMs support, on the next page, they support our goal 2, which is supporting our 3rd grade student outcomes, right? Our 3rd grade student outcomes in the long run, we wanted to make sure that at the meets level, we reach the goal of 60%, which is the 90-60-30 that the state has, right? So our data tonight is being progress monitored closely so that we can ensure 3rd graders meet that goal. So if you look at the next slide, GPM 2.1 focuses on our kinder population. Here we're looking at middle of the year map for math. Our kinder target from last year to this year, our end of the year target, we want it to be at a 55% for the end of the year administration. Currently, where the star is at, that was our middle of the year data. Our middle of the year data shows we are at a 51. We consider that to be on track. Again, we are looking at a possibly 6 to 8, 10 weeks at some campuses difference in instruction from middle of the year to end of the year. So we feel confident in reaching this goal. For each of the slides for kinder, first and second, we have identified a skill, a mathematical skill that is an area of focus that we continue to address through our instructional planning. For area focus for kinder is the numerical representations, relationships, and data analysis. Sometimes at this point, it could have been that in the year at a glance, it wasn't addressed fully, so that could have been an area also to consider. So when you look at our 1st grade data, GPM 2.2, we see that our target by May, our end of the year administration, is to be from a 38% last year to a 44% this year. That is our target goal. In 1st grade, however, for middle of the year data, we were at a 34%. We feel, full transparency, that we were not on track. That is 10 points away. Anything looking at a single digit, we felt we could meet. However, we do see a bigger gap, right, in 1st grade, and I'll explain in a later slide why. Area of focus for 1st grade population is geometry and measurement. Still not fully taught by that time of the year. So GPM 2.3, we look at our 2nd grade population, and here, from last year to this year, we are looking at 28% to 38% difference. For this year, here in the middle of the year, we were already at a 32%. So we feel strongly with the difference of instructional weeks that we are on target to meeting the end of the year goal. So again, for 2nd grade, the skill to focus on is geometry and measurement, following a very similar scope and sequence or year at a glance for 2nd grade. So to summarize the kinder through 2nd data, right, what we have seen in the next slide, you have a campus report by grade level. Again, the green represents campuses who have already met or surpassed the end of the year target. Those campuses who are 5+ points close to meeting the target are in yellow. Those campuses who are in white, we are addressing and making sure that through instructional planning, through PLCs, we stay on target to meeting the end of the year goal. However, it's a little further to meet, right, than the other campuses who are shaded. So what is working, right? One of the things that we consider, just like in the RLA sections, we gathered feedback from our instructional leaders, our campus administrators, our CNI teams. and all of the instructional teams together, we know for sure that this year hands-on training has made a huge impact. So we know that we have to stay consistent and faithful to that, as those are good practices in the classroom. We also know that studying or using our TEKS resource system that we purchased through our Region 1 service provider, we understand that that is the best document, our TEKS guide, that shows a teacher how to teach a TEKS, right? And understanding it, how to deliver it. We also understand that this year we put in place the SLO progress monitoring skills, right, that we're closely monitoring. We have noticed that those skills, teachers who chose those skills, have made huge improvements in our math data. And also, we know and understand that as we have been studying the alignment of multiple resources, we know one thing ESSER created is more purchases, right? Everybody, with extra money, purchase a lot more resources. So we understand that going back and aligning to one district resource and aligning our supplemental resource purchases is going to be key. What needs more attention, and we have identified a pattern throughout our schools, right, is the fidelity to the adopted curriculum. Our adopted curriculum is our SAVAS. We understand that having fidelity, right, full 100% fidelity to our year at a glance, our TEKS resource system, to our adoption is key, not to a supplemental resource. Right, so we understand that. We also understand that MAP plays a critical role, as MAP is the one giving us that pulse check of where we at, right? So understanding the reports, providing PD, which we'll have again for our campus administration, instructional leaders, instructional coaches. One key difference this year that we will do is we're going to include teachers. We told MAP we no longer need presentations. We're sold on your product. We need workshops, how to interpret the data and turn it around so that we can make actionable decisions for instruction. And we also understand that the biggest difference that you see in kinder through to first, right, because you see that drop in the data and then back up in second, is that kinder had been testing in small group administration, right? Small groups, because we feel our kinder babies are young, are not your independent readers fully at that point in time of testing. So testing in small groups will obviously fluctuate the data, inflate the data, right? So we have been instructed by MAP. The MAP diagnostic test was designed to be tested independently. So we are trusting that process. So end of the year administration will be the first administration to do that. So that will be our true data for MAP. So that is our report on the student outcome data. Yes.
And so kinder is not going to be in small group anymore?
No.
Okay, that way, okay, you
So
won't
our
have a
data
fluctuation
will be
between K and
true.
first. Yeah, because with MAP, it's supposed to be preparing them for the online, right,
Yes.
STAR. So doing small group kind of defeats that purpose.
Right, it's a unique testing experience for each student. Yes. Moving on to our constraint, our CPMs. Our CPM for this month is focusing on our LSG framework, right? So if you move on to constraint number 5, it is addressing constraint number 5. It reads, the superintendent shall not allow adult community convenience, preference, or private interest to take priority over the academic progress of our students. So how did we decide to address this as we, embarked in this Lone Star governance, right, framework and understanding as a community? So our CPM 5.1 is the superintendent, leadership team, and board members will implement Lone Star governance framework to pursue a system of great schools by moving to from the approaches focus to the master's focus in the evaluation instrument. We realized that board, cabinet, and superintendent working together is the only way that we can meet or move to that master focus and obviously achieve that one common vision of improving student outcomes at the end. So in the next slide, I just did a snippet of what is it that we're talking about, right? Ms. Ustaita, you and the board last month did the progress tracker of where are we at, right, in those quarterly evaluations. Again, we realized that we want to move from the approaches focus to the master focus, and the only way that we can help support that is leadership and superintendent working together with the board, right, so that we can improve those student outcomes. So in the next progress monitoring form that you see in the slide, that was the evaluation that was conducted last month. So how do we do, or leadership and superintendent, how do we work towards helping the board and as a community to improve student outcomes? How do we get there? So we we realized and we noted down some things that have worked for us since we've implemented this Lone Star framework, right? Providing monthly student outcome presentations. I think that has just created a common language amongst all the stakeholders in the district. Also providing frequent board updates as needed, right? Having that transparency and communication. Dr. Rivera does an amazing job providing updates and just through the superintendent's report and data that you see through our board agendas as well, preparing you for that. Our website has a Lone Star governance section where we are providing all this information to the community for transparency and for them to see and review as well. We have continuous stakeholder meetings through principals, PLCs, or principal meetings, principals with teachers, and communicating the same data we share with you. It's communicated always with the stakeholder before coming to you every month. Preliminary board agendas are shared with the board 2 to 3 times prior to the board meeting, right, to seek for feedback and review, which is part of that master focus column. And continuous professional learning and conferences with Dr. Cinto Ramos. I know that we contact Dr. Cinto Ramos all the time in just getting some input, right, and seeing through the platform that he shares with us, just exemplary districts who are already putting this in place, the LSG. We also know that, and we noted one of the things that you all had shared in the previous meeting, one of the things that needs more attention is just increasing community awareness, right? We've reached everyone who's in the district, now moving forward with the community in mind as well.
You know, community awareness and our performance and scores and GPMs, and as we're moving forward, there's systems like data dashboards. There's data dashboards that are used for staff within the district. There's data dashboards that are accessible to teachers, and then there's some that they have a component for board members, and they also have components for the public. Public can go into the data dashboard, and I know people probably think, well, what's that? It's kind of, you just go to a website, and it has all these meters and information that's easy to read. And you can look at the campus, and instantly you'll see as far as performance levels and where the campus is, of different different criteria, attendance, performances on benchmarks, checkpoints, whatever the case may be, mock stars. And it's instant, and it's public, and it doesn't violate any student, because it's general, it's overall campus performance. So that's something that maybe if we're looking to be more transparent and bring them in to this side of the house as far as the student performance data, that may be something to look at. And they're relatively very inexpensive.
Can we do that? I mean, because it's like,
Yes.
what, not like, can we do it?
There's districts that have them.
So
What do we have to do it? I guess is
So-
a more appropriate question.
With the, due to TIA in our community engagement regional meetings, you know, districts have shared dashboards. We are creating our own dashboard for the future as well. But I think as of now, what we're doing is these monthly presentations, which provide that same data that we would provide in the dashboards, are going to be posted under the Lone Star governance section. Just because we feel that it's important to chunk down the data for the community, right? Where are we at each month? So we are already providing this through our Lone Star governance website as well.
I mean, when things are transparent, like Trustee De Los Santos says, it makes us more accountable, right?
Correct.
So can we publicize that on our Facebook page as well? That, hey, interested in how accountability is doing in Weslaco ISD, interested in what the district's doing to increase?
Most definitely.
Here's a link.
Is this on our website, these visuals and the graphs under
So-
Lone Star governance?
The progress monitoring reports are not yet up, but everything else is, to include the board monitoring calendar. So these two, the March and the April progress monitorings, will go up after the presentation.
Okay, great.
Yes, we already have this section built for it. Yes.
Okay. And I know that I had talked to you before about questions, but we're just
Yes.
practicing. We want to focus on student outcomes, and we want our minutes in our meeting to be focused on student outcomes. So I wrote some questions, and I emailed Ms. Alana, and I know you already answered some of them, but we can just, talk about it again, because sometimes it is a little woo over people's heads, and they're like, what are they talking about? So I'll just ask again. Looking back at the NWEA map of what needs more attention, I'm not sure what slide that is. If you can go back to the
With the
slide
campus
about what
report?
needs more attention.
Yes, slide 7.
7?
That one right there.
Okay, so there it says, we're looking at all the schools. We understand that the colors, What needs more attention? On grade level instruction, fidelity to the adopted curriculum. I know when I was teaching, we were always teachers pay teachers and different curriculums and different textbooks and kind of just a little mix of everything trying to get the kids to focus on what the TEKs were. So my question is, are teachers being given the necessary resources in their classroom to teach NWEA MAP, because that's what we're focusing on, or do they have multiple curriculums to pick and choose from?
So NWEA MAP is just a diagnostic tool, beginning, middle, and end of the year, right? So that one just does a pulse check. Where are we at in academic achievement and growth, right? Based on that, the teacher takes back that data and has to use the adopted curriculum. So one of the things that we have noticed is we need to be more faithful to our adopted curriculum and then fill in the gaps with a supplemental. Right now, it's kind of like, what do you feel comfortable with? Because we have an array of resources, right? That's what we use. So we want to streamline and just focus on our adopted, fill in the gaps through our supplemental.
Because MAP technically can't be the roadmap for teachers as well too, because the tests modify itself depending on the level
Right.
of the student
It's a
taking the
unique
test.
testing experience
Right.
for each
Yeah,
child.
it's individual. So you might have 20 students in a lab that log on, put on the headphones, take the
Correct.
test, but each one is going to, depending on
Yes.
their ability and their knowledge and skills that they already have mastered, they're going to be at a different level than everyone else. So when that
Correct.
teacher gets that report, it's going to be all over the place.
So
right?
differentiation is key, right,
Yes.
in delivery, but making sure that we have on grade level instruction through our supplemental resources, right? Our adopted curriculum is crucial, right? And adopting high quality instructional materials
And I
is
wanted
key.
to talk about that because you kind of hinted on it, but then you had to move on. But with some of the scores that you see as well too, because the first graders, they're covering content because they may have been exposed to it or aware of
Right.
it somehow, because depending on their different teachers in kinder, but yet their test scores and resulting content is completely different
Right.
because of that. So
Right.
it's kind of all skewed.
Vetting our resources is key.
Ms. Solano, can I add to that? In addition to what Ms. Solano mentioned, we're trying to really emphasize, right, our main curriculum is TEKS resource system, and then we should be using the adoption to ensure that high-quality instructional materials. We have worked with principals to downsize on the supplemental resources so that way it's more clear to teachers what it is that they should be using. In addition, we were granted our second Strong Foundations planning for math. Our previous was for RLA. And so part of that is that we are building the Weslaco ISD math framework that should guide all of our decisions. It provides training for all of our teachers on the RBs, the research-based instructional strategies, which are fairly new in the last couple of years. And one of the new parts of that is the academic review process. That is part of the ESF framework. That's brand new this year. And so that's something that we've partnered with Region 1. It's new to them as well. So we're waiting to hear back from them so that way we can sit down with them and look at our student-facing materials, review those, look at our current adoptions, and fill any gaps that may currently exist. Because as mentioned, RBs is a fairly new process. HQIM is a fairly new process, and the adoption cycle takes 8 years. Many of them are 11 years old because of those 3 gap years introduced by COVID. And so to speak to that, for math particularly, this upcoming school year is when RBs will be introduced to all of our math teachers. And then the following school year, those teachers are going to use that information when they make their new textbook adoption selection. So with that in mind, selecting the highest quality instructional materials.
You guys are talking a different language. I have no idea what Arby's are. What are Arby's?
The RB's research-based instructional strategies.
Oh, okay.
So they currently exist only for RLA and math, but TEA is working on developing those for science, pre-K, and social studies right now. Those aren't yet released.
So you mentioned Strong Foundations. So we got the grant last year for reading language arts, right?
Correct. We implemented it last year.
So is that district-wide or is that some campuses?
District-wide.
Awesome. So our curriculum's being streamlined, I guess.
Yes. The academic review process is brand new this year, so we have the pleasure of going through that only this year with them, despite having created our literacy framework and RB's training last year.
How were teachers? Were they receptive towards it?
Yes,
Awesome.
very.
Awesome. Could I ask a question on this?
Most definitely.
Thank you.
So talking about inputs and outputs, you know?
I like the vocabulary.
So looking at the second grade column and kind of enlighten me a little bit, third grade is when they test, right?
Correct.
Officially, yes.
Third grade is the start that we're focused on.
Okay, so second grade, so all the white that's on this slide, what inputs are we using to get those numbers up or to prepare our students to be ready for the next grade level for third grade?
So the most powerful one, Mr. Castillo, and we committed to 5.2, is those PLCs and T-test calibration, fidelity to the T-test.
Talking another language again. What's
Right.
PLC?
So most definitely understanding how growth and performance looks at each performance level of the T-test rubric, a proficient teacher, an accomplished teacher, a distinguished teacher, because that ultimately translates to or reflects on our student outcome data, right? So if you're a proficient teacher, you have these certain number or percent of students growing in your class, right? So understanding the language of T-test, each dimension, differentiation, right? Monitoring and adjusting, planning with data in mind, all of that is key through our PLCs. The fidelity to weekly PLCs at the campus level, helping
What's a
teachers.
PLC?
Personal learning.
Right, so basically, group of teachers with administrators coming together to plan responding to the data.
And what I wanted to say was this, and correct me if I'm wrong, and that's why I kept kind of hinting to it, because I didn't want to weaponize this, right? Because MAP is literally brought in so that you can have your three assessments, right? Beginning, middle, and end. And then you can monitor growth. It's for TIA. It's a
Yes.
very useful tool. It kind of measures students, gives you placement. There's a lot of positives there. But what I was trying to say is that you can't measure classroom, I mean, it kind of gives you an insight, because in the past, you would say, well, this fifth grade teacher is an outstanding teacher, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. You would say,
Correct.
this fifth grade teacher is outstanding, everybody's passing in their class, but yet, the children that were coming to that fifth grade class from fourth grade were already at a 5.5 grade level, right?
Right.
And then they go into that fifth grade teacher's class, they still perform, they still pass, et cetera, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, the data will show you that maybe they regressed and they're at a 5. They were at a 5.5 walking in the door in August, and at the end of the year, that teacher didn't take them to the next level and proceed and push them forward, and actually they dropped back. So it just kind of takes a deeper dive and dissects. It's hard to explain, but it's like reading between the lines, I guess.
Right.
Best way to
That's
put it.
why we have stressed the important, and teacher
Right.
incentive allotment stresses the importance of compensating teachers who grow students, right?
Yes.
So
And
like-
and that's what it's about, growth.
Right.
So like on the going back to this graph, so like Margot Elementary, they're green. Does Margot Elementary have the same curriculum, or does a campus that is not green have the same curriculum as Margot Elementary?
So everyone has the same adopted curriculum, but schools have different purchase curriculums that they did as a
Yes.
campus purchase, right? So that is what we're trying to
it's-
streamline.
And it's hard to do a campus-to-campus scenario with these results. So it's mostly student-based, correct? That's what I'm trying to say, like, so
Right,
we
so
all understand,
our
and so
goal,
people watching.
Right, our goal again
Right.
is to make sure that there's fidelity to the adopted district curriculum, right, to our TEKS,
Mm-hmm.
and then the adopted curriculum that we as a district decided to align that to.
What
our-
is the adopted curriculum right now?
So, Savas, Envision
Savas.
Math, right, for
Envision.
math. Right. So then our purchases fill in the gaps that adopted curriculum has. And that is what we have identified as, a problem, right? Or
So
a challenge.
we're trying to address that, right?
Yes, yes.
And it's
We're
kind
not
of-
trying to, but we are gonna.
We
address it.
are addressing
Right.
it as we speak, right.
It's
Yes.
kind of like, I mean, like I said, I've been in a more of a management position than classroom, but back in the past, when if you were fifth grade, you finished, in May wasn't just parties and movies. It was already, you were introducing
Accelerated.
acceleration and sixth grade curriculum.
Yes, sir.
And if that teacher was effective within those 5 or 4 weeks, that child, and didn't have a lot of summer learning loss, right? That child was already walking into sixth grade advanced because they already had been exposed to the content. And so they would literally score a higher score on, say, a math
Yes.
test versus someone who maybe didn't get that instruction or in depth. So then that's where you see the fluctuation.
Acceleration versus remediation.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
I'm going to go on to my second question, even though I know you already answered it, but just to reiterate. You talked about understanding the NWEA MAP reports and the individualized goal setting. Are our teachers, and are we having a hard time understanding these reports because, like you said, you already asked them, you sold your item to us, now teach us how to understand it better? Is that what we're going to do to address this issue?
Right. So instead of PD, we will have workshops where teachers will, I have data, what do I do with it now? And how does it translate in making an instructional decision, which is our domain 1 planning of the T-test rubric, right? In order to deliver effective instruction, you have to have effective planning with data. So that is what we will do in June and August, beginning of the year.
So MAP's got a supplement or
Yes.
adoption? Okay.
Correct.
So the teachers, the kids coming into, let's say, first grade, when they get trained on how to understand the map, those reports, will begin the beginning of the year, obviously, right? And
EOY
then
kinder
should be
data.
seeing a growth.
Yes.
Middle of year, end of year. Okay. My other question, and this is based off of looking at and you mentioned it also, based off of the regression from first grade to kinder, and you said about small group and whole group. Given what we know about the student percentages, how can we replicate what's happening from first to second grade? How can we replicate that going from kinder to first? This is what I'm worried about. If we're getting the kids used to doing whole group in kinder, I mean, I'm sorry, if they get used to doing small group in kinder, and then they come to first grade, is that what's happening? Whoa, we're not used to doing this alone. Now it's whole group.
Right.
Is that how we're going to address it?
So we have, from our testing department and our instructional team, meeting with principals, with our instructional coaches who participate in our APs testing, campus coordinators, one of the feedback that we received, right, even with Tia, was aligning testing protocols. Just like you would test in STAR, that's how you should test in kinder through second grade, right, in preparation. Only those who need accommodations, you provide those accommodations. All others, the test is designed to be a unique testing experience.
Right.
So how are we going to help those kinder teachers who are their kids are used to doing small group? How are
Right.
those kinder teachers going to?
MAP, NWA has a platform with practice tests, just like we do for TELPAS and STAR Release. You can do that as well to become familiar with the platform.
Awesome. And my last question, looking at the data of the special education category, the special, and I don't know what, there's several slides and they all have, they're all kind of basically the same. If we look at special education, currently it's a lot lower than the other percentages across all grade levels, not just one grade level, but across all the grade levels. So what strategy will be used to increase these special education scores?
Right. So first one is fidelity to the adopted curriculum. When Tier 1 instruction is solid, you will see scores be solid across all populations, right? Differentiation, right, which then starts with planning. How did we plan? One of the key pieces that when we meet with our special ed department is collaborative planning with the special ed teacher and the general ed teacher. Continue to provide those minutes for collaborative planning and communication. Your co-teaching, because these are our resource inclusion students. So definitely continue to provide the accommodations as needed, right? But we see one thing in common, right? High-performing campuses have less special ed referrals. Right? Why? Because it's a solid Tier 1 instruction. So that is where we start.
So we should see these percentages increasing as we increase.
Most definitely.
the Tier
Yeah, so
1.
at the end of the day, we're not gonna let the test dictate instruction.
Right.
Instruction being solid,
Right.
everything else falls into place.
Should serve all populations.
So the supplemental stuff, going back to that being discovered as one of the areas of concern, it's done next year, right?
Right, and more than anything, in our last principals meeting, we vetted some of the instructional resources that are being used and purchases. We understand again that ESSER gave us that flexibility to buy and purchase and experience, and now we know what gives us valid, reliable results.
Awesome. Good.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are there any other questions?
Going back to the purchases real quick, Ms. Mano.
Yes.
Are those just done district level or are those campus level also?
District is, yes, district is with the feedback of all principals to
Okay.
make a decision for all. Campuses with their own monies have the flexibility to purchase theirs, but also, with the feedback of CNI and being vetted through CNI as well.
So there's a mixture.
Yes.
Mixture.
So am I understanding or did I misunderstand? Are we starting a new math curriculum next year? Or what, this RB that Ms. Martinez, or what are we doing with math that she said?
So we are providing PD because that is brand new to our math teachers for research, right, based instructional practices and strategies for the classroom, right, which should help teachers obviously provide this through our instructional planning and delivery.
And PD, you just mean additional skills,
Right.
by targeted skills that go according
Right.
to certain.
That are best practices for
Best practices,
math
yeah.
instruction.
So is it supplemental to
Yes.
the curriculum?
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
We do have our coach, Dr. Cinta Ramos, if you can please come up and give us some feedback on our progress monitoring. Thank you for coming. Welcome.
How about their inputs, huh?
Well, first of all, excellent progress, board superintendent team, from where we began to where we're at. And I wanted to make sure that I gave you a little bit more of the grounding of the documents that I've shared with you. Your muscle is getting strong on governance, and it's evident. And we talked about parallel processing at the Lone Star Governance Workshop, that what you do and what you model runs parallel to the rest of the system. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but as people listen and watch and listen to you work as a collective team, the rest of the system is going to be paying attention. So you're sending a very strong message that you want to focus on student achievement and that you're going to continue to do that. Not that you haven't, but you're going to continue to do that and you're fine tuning it. I just wanted to recap what's happening so that you understand what's to come. You have adopted goals and constraints which represent the vision and the values of your community. You had a conversation about how much community ownership do you feel that you have. And I'm glad that you've identified that in your own self-evaluation and that you've put strategies in place to address that. The part that is happening now is because you've identified the vision and values, the superintendent is now charged with the task of implementing the strategies to get you to your vision and values. So do not underestimate this portion of your board meeting, that this is the most important currency that you have, that you're displaying. And so I'll share with you this piece that we share with folks around the country. It says, when we see that someone spends their currency on, when we see what someone spends their currency on, that provides us with the insight into what they most value. Ultimately, there is really only one currency, which is time. Money is simply stored time. You exchange some of your time and you got money in its place. You bought an apple, but really what you were doing is you were trading a unit of your time, stored as money, for a unit of someone else's time, the time they spent picking the apple and bringing it to the market. So if we want to know what people most value, one means of doing so is to track your universal currency, which is your time. And this is true for school boards as well. And so what you're doing and what you're modeling for your community, it's an alignment of what you say is important and now you're doing what you say is important. And that you're coming prepared to board meetings, you're asking questions, you're getting feedback, you're getting responses. And I think I told you when we first did the two-day workshop, we were going to have fun doing progress monitoring. And I love the positive atmosphere. I love, Trustee Castillo, I love you asking the clarity. Like, what is that? You're speaking another language. Because you're also being mindful that your community at large is also wanting to follow along with you. And your administrative team is placing this on the website. They're going to be putting progress monitoring reports up on so that everyone can track the progress of what you're doing. So kudos, board. I just wanted to make sure that you were grounded in what's been happening because you've been really busy doing a lot of this work. And I just wanted to make sure that we had a moment to pause and that you could appreciate the work that you've done and what's about to really pick up even from here. There's one more thing now that you've done at least 2 monitoring sessions that I want to add for you, is that I'm going to ask you to place the monitoring report as an action item after you're done monitoring. And I understand you may have your binders with you. So if you would pull up the one that says effective goal monitoring. And then it'll be the first, the second, I think it's the 3rd page. It's under ineffective questions. And it's going to say after goal monitoring.
Effective goal monitoring spreadsheet.
Yes, well, no, it's the document says new effective goal monitoring.
Yes, I see.
Yeah. If someone would read what it says after goal monitoring for us. It says to accept,
To accept the monitoring report or not?
yes.
You want to read it?
I don't know what page we're on.
It's the 3rd page, I believe, of that document.
Third
One
page,
school board.
there's this one?
It's underneath,
That's all that's there, third page for us.
on the top of the document, it says effective goal monitoring. On the top, and it says about goal monitoring, what is goal monitoring? That's page 1. We're going to ask you to go to page 3.
Where'd you find that?
It's the 3rd page after the table of current performance questions. And then it says ineffective questions. And then it says after goal monitoring.
So you said to read which portion?
Right underneath after goal monitoring, it's what, a sentence or 2 and then 3 bullet points.
Right there, you want to read it, Ben? Can you read it for
How is
us?
goal monitoring beneficial?
I guess.
Is it, how is goal monitoring beneficial? Is that what
No,
you're
it says to accept the monitoring report or
Ben
not.
was going to read it.
All right, to accept the monitoring report or not. Once the school board has completed the monitoring conversation, it must choose whether to accept or not accept the report based on 3 questions. 1, does reality match the vision? 2, is there a growth toward the vision? And 3, is there a strategy and plan sufficient to cause growth towards the vision? If the answer to all 3 is yes, then the board can accept the monitoring report confident that the data is accurate and the superintendent is performing. If the answer to only one of the 2 of these questions is yes, the board may opt to table the matter. If the answer to all 3 is no, the board should consider voting to not accept the report. Note, the vote informs the superintendent that they have failed to meet the expectations of monitoring. I like that. That's good.
Wow.
And the reason why, just as you're getting feedback about how your teachers, how your educational leaders are performing here, right? Much the same way for you as your role as a board, don't allow 1, 2, 3 months to go by and then be like, wait, hold on, we're looking up and we're not moving towards the goal. That is not fair to the superintendent, so you have a chance. In other words, every board meeting, every progress monitoring session serves as a mini formative assessment of the performance of the superintendent and the school system. So I really got to stress that, right? As your muscle grows in governance, do not consider this an extra item. Consider this the main thing with all of the other items that you've got a lot going on in your district. You got a lot of great things going on in your district. And so here now what we're doing is we're elevating and saying that student achievement will not be on the backdrop, and it's going to be on the forefront along with all of the other beautiful things that are happening here. Because at the end of the day, we talked about it, why we had an agreement on why school systems exist. And the currency that you have that's most valuable is the time. And so.
Well, this is a check against not wasting our time.
That's right.
Wow, interesting.
That's exactly right. And I just want to make sure I want to open up, see what questions, thoughts, or wonders you may have.
I think more for me, it's just a statement. I know that not every district in our region, Region 1, does LSG, Lone Star Governance. And I think that it is an extremely valuable tool because kind of like when we're talking about our restraints, we're talking about outside variables in the community affecting the restraint that we're talking about, the
Constraints, the superintendent constraint.
And with Lone Star Governance and this framework, you, as a board member, people have a misconception of what a board member's role is. Board member's role is not to be superintendent, it's not to run the school district. It's to be the eyes and ears of the community and to push their common wants, which is naturally for their child to get the best education possible. When they get off that car, or that bus, and they walk through that door, they want everyone going 200%. And our goal is just to represent the community and make sure that finances, structure, et cetera, like our roles as board members to check off and vote and support based on our community's, ideology, right? Yes, sir. And Lone Star Governance, what it does, it's a tool that educates people that aren't educators. Because a lot of board members don't have to be educators. They come from all different walks of life and different parts of the community. LSG streamlines and gives you a crash course into academics and partners you, kind of like Ms. Solano was saying, partners you with the staff and in a different role. And so I think it's a really good structured program that a lot of people who haven't done it have to look into because it is very important to understand the status, the academic performance and the data and the status of where the students are in the district is. And as a board member, how can you help and assist in moving that forward, right? Absolutely. Rather than being a hindrance. And so
Absolutely.
It's a great tool.
I'd love to ask you to read the very, very first paragraph, if we may, then on that same document, the one that says effective goal monitoring.
Let me get there.
Right underneath what is goal monitoring, because you've just in essence described with that very first paragraph what we lead off with.
Okay. About goal monitoring, what is goal monitoring?
Yeah, it says too often in.
Okay, too often in public education, leaders do not pay attention to what's working and what's not working. The result can be a revolving door of initiatives, programs, silver bullets that drain resources, frustrate staff, and fail students. Breaking this cycle requires having clearly agreed upon data, a predictable cadence of reviewing the data to see what's working, not working, and the expectation that this information impacts what happens next. That is the purpose of monitoring.
That's it. That's what you just described. And when you're asking what are the inputs and the outputs that have gotten us here, right? Yes. Ideally, what we're going to work towards when we hopefully have a workshop in the summer is I'm going to take you to a 2.0 level, but right now I just want your muscle to get used to doing this part, right? But what meaning that 75% of your time is going to be focused ideally, how did we get here?
Right.
75%, how did we get here? All the questions you were asking were perfect, right along with that. How did we get here? Why are some green? Why are some yellow? What are the strategies? What are the inputs? What are the outputs? Right. And then 25%, after you know how you've gotten here, then you can start to uncover what's the plan moving forward. Too quick, many boards want to go to what are we going to do moving forward, not having an understanding of how we got here. And remember, your two-way communication with your community is really designed, this progress monitoring is designed so that you're equipped to know where you're at in your goals and what your progress is towards them. So that anytime you're stopped at the grocery store, at the carniceria, wherever it is that you're at, if somebody asks you, because they're going to get used to seeing and hearing this, that you can say, this is where we're going, senora. And let me tell you what some of the inputs and outputs that the staff is sharing with us, because we know that not everybody has a chance to come to the board meeting. But I, as a board member, I got you. I got you covered.
And I just want to commend Dr. Rivera, your staff, for the outstanding work that you're doing to make this possible. Because you're giving us all the information. You're the one doing the legwork.
Right.
And we're here trying to digest everything that's going on so that we can support what's best for our students and our future, really, because this is an investment into our future.
Yes, sir.
And I want to really thank you guys for an outstanding job. Well done.
Yep, absolutely.
Dr. Ramos, for your guidance.
No, you're more welcome. And then I'm gonna piggyback, or like I said, veggie back for the non-meat eaters in the room. That what you're describing is, one, it's what the board knows it's supposed to do, which we'll review again real briefly in the bullet points. In the second page, it says do your homework, which you are, and thank you for showing up prepared and reading your document. It says understanding the reality, which you're doing. It says keep the conversation going, dig deeper, make sure that you are clear on what's happening. No gotcha governance, which this board is great at not doing gotcha governance. You're not sitting here trying to catch the superintendent off guard. And then don't offer advice. That's kind of a hard habit to break, but we'll work towards that. We got time. That's every board. But to your point, Coach, that the effective superintendent participation and what your superintendent, your leadership team have done, I think hopefully these speak to you. It says that don't hide the data. They're not hiding any data. No. They're being transparent with you. Don't sugarcoat the data. They're not sugarcoating. They're putting it up there. And align the monitoring with the managerial action. He's describing exactly what the strategies are of the direction that you're going to be heading into. Be prepared. Your team is very prepared for the meetings and preparing the documents. And don't be defensive. They don't have to be defensive when you're not doing gotcha. All of these are great characteristics to a very healthy board superintendent relationship. So all I'm thinking is, Coach, in your words, all we got to do is play some offense. Fair enough?
Very nice.
And I want to thank you guys. Last month, I mentioned some comments, and I went back into the community, and you're listening to what we say. You know, you're listening to just little things that you do here and there, and teachers are telling me, hey, we're doing this now. I said, they're listening. Oh, that's great. Like, you're actually acting on our questions, not on, we're not micromanaging, demanding. We're asking the questions that, you know, we're trying to be effective. And I just want to thank you for listening. I know these last 2 months we focused on elementary, kinder, first and second. We have sixth grade coming up, which we're going to focus on other grade levels coming up. And then we have CCMR, which is our last goal, goal number 5. So we're going to focus on high school upcoming. So one of the board members asked me, are we doing this again this month? I said, yeah, we're doing it every month. Every month is Lone Star Governments, and it's different goals that we're looking at. So it's going to be year-round. It's not just once a month or whenever we want. It's every month we're talking about the goals and the constraints. And it's going to be from pre-K to 12th grade. We just got into elementary so far.
And spread the word. That's the very first page that your team, by the way, other districts are now paying attention to y'all's progress monitoring report, because your team is very clear on when they put the monitoring calendar. No one else has been doing that before. So kudos, Weslaco. Kudos to the leadership team.
Yeah, excellent.
But that is so important because you and your community now know exactly what's being brought forth each month. Fair enough?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent.
Thank you, President.
Thank you, Dr. Ramos. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming by. That's a long road. All right. Any further questions, comments on LSG? Okay. And Mr. Nieto, we will get together with Dr. Ramos for the time tracker. Dr. Ramos, if we can get together in Zoom, because we are tracking our minutes at every board meeting. And last month, I was looking at it right now. Last month, I think we were at 28% for March of student outcomes, and we really want to be at a 50% of our meeting on student outcomes. So we're working on it, but you know, we'll hopefully get there soon. All right, so now on to number 10, consent items. And we've all had some time to look at this already and did our homework, so I'll go one by one. If anybody has an item to pull out, go ahead and tell me.
No, I don't.
No items to pull out? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
I second.
Okay, let's go ahead and take it to a vote. Trustee Rodriguez?
Aye.
Trustee Cuellar?
Aye.
Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Nieto?
Aye.
Trustee De Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes to approve consent item as written on the agenda, all the consent items. We'll move on to item 11, discussion items. 11A, the update on trainings, conferences, events, and consider future agenda item requests by Board of Trustees. Does anybody have any requests?
No, ma'am.
My only request is just to check on my golden pass, doctor, and then you can tell me.
Okay, we had, for meetings, it's a 6-hour Lone Star workshop, and we have some dates
Oh, that's right, May.
on the 10th and 17th, Mr. Butler? What are the dates?
That's a 6-hour.
Yes, 6 hours. June 10th?
What is
Oh,
that?
June 10th.
I think he
and
said we got a
June
pass, didn't he?
17th.
Huh?
It's a refresher for Lone Star governance.
June
that we have
10th?
to do.
Oh, it's the 2-day.
Yeah.
No, it's one day?
No, it's one day.
All day?
The June 10th.
It's a one-day,
or
6-hour.
June 17th.
June 10 or June
10th and
17th? It's on a Saturday?
We'll let you.
Saturday?
Those are Mondays.
No.
Oh, Mondays.
Can we
We'll
do a
let-
weekend like we did last time? Like Saturday? It says the week, it's gonna be difficult.
These were
What
the
day are we
dates that were
talking about?
available.
Yeah,
It's,
he has those, he's available.
Yeah.
You can do a weekend?
Yeah.
A Saturday?
I mean, the week, I can't do the weeks, yeah.
Yeah, we all work during the week, so it's kind of hard. But on Saturday, we'll give up 6 hours.
Okay,
I can do Saturday.
we'll pull the board
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
with Yvette. Okay.
Anything else? No?
Just when we could kind of push the community outreach part of LSG. I know we had talked about bringing in the student panel.
Oh, yes.
And I was going to
Student
talk to you about that. Dr. Ramos and I had a conversation, and we want the focus, we want the focus to be us going to them, not them coming to us. So the better idea was if the schools have, for example, some events or parent night, or I know Miss Erica Garcia, she's a parent director, parent involvement director, right? Whatever events they have, if we can go as a board, maybe 2 of us when we can and switch off to those events and talk to the parents and the community there at their events instead of making them come to us.
Maybe do like a 5-10 minute, just kind of quick presentation on it.
Right. So if we can get together, maybe have a little calendar of events. I know they send us one for athletics,
Okay.
calendar of events for the week. But if we can do something like that from the Parent Involvement Center.
I have an idea. First football game of the season, we'll be out there talking about LSG. I'm sure that's going to go over real well.
During halftime. Pre-game show. During halftime. Yeah.
So maybe we can work on that, on a calendar of events, and we can go to them. All right? All right. Continuing on to item
11B.
11B, approval of a date to conduct 2 level 3 grievances pursuant to Weslaco Independent School District Policy DGBA Local.
The range that we have is April 22nd through the 25th of April, which is next week.
22nd.
And we'll let Yvette pull you all
Okay.
for 2 grievances. April 22nd through the 25th, you all pick a date. So Yvette will pull you all to see what days is good for you.
All right,
Okay.
sounds good. Item 12, discussion and possible action. 12A, Superintendent. 12A1, discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval of changing the regular board meeting scheduled for June 18, 2024, and August 20, 2024.
What day are you proposing, Doc?
Okay, let me see. Well, first of all, there's no July meeting, right?
Right.
So the dates, let me see. The dates moving the meeting from June 18th to June 25th. That's the day that we approve the budget. It'll give us more time to go ahead and prepare the budget and do anything that we need to, since we don't have a July meeting.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, 25th?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
And then in August, our meeting is scheduled on August the 13th. I'm sorry, August the 20th. And we can move that to August the 13th. August 13th.
Okay.
Are y'all okay with that?
Could we do, on that one, could we do it Thursday, like the 22nd or the 15th?
I'm okay. I just stayed with Tuesday, that I'm okay.
Yeah, because on the 13th, I have an Edinburgh board meeting.
Okay.
So the
So
15th.
August, that's in August?
Yes, sir.
August
So
15th?
so August the 15th?
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, yeah, the 15th.
Yes.
15.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Mr. Los Santos?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Because I know your schedule's pretty tough too, so.
Yeah, but no, I can make it. So I know that they have to have a board meeting soon, because they probably have a lot of business you gotta
Yes.
clarify and get approved
Yes.
for. Okay.
So July, no meeting.
All right.
So I'll move to approve June meeting for June 25th and August to August 15th.
Okay,
Second.
Second, okay. Go ahead and take it to a vote. Trustee Rodriguez?
Aye.
Trustee Cuellar?
Aye.
Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Nieto?
Aye.
Trustee De Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. On to 12B, School Leadership and Instruction Department. 12B1, discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval of a 24-25 Weslaco Independent School District academic calendar.
You have the information, and option 2 was the one with the most votes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, any further comments, questions, discussion?
No, just a comment. I think we had more staff members that voted this year compared to the last 2 years.
Yes.
More parents also voted, so, and the teachers were happy with option 2.
Yes.
And the outreach was pretty impressive, Doc. They were calling parents to vote on the calendar as well.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay,
Great points.
all right. We'll go ahead and take it to vote. Trustee Rodriguez?
Aye.
Trustee Cuellar?
Aye.
Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Nieto?
Aye.
Trustee De Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. 12C, Maintenance and Operations. 12C1, Discussion and Possible Action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval of a procurement method of construction for the demolition of the old gymnasium at Central Middle School project. And we have 3 motions here. I don't know if you want to make it all in one or each separate one, but I'll go ahead and read it. Number 1 is the Board of Trustees' determination of a procurement method of construction that will provide the best value to the Weslaco Independent School District for the project. Number 2, Board of Trustees' determination to retain the authority to rank the proposals to be received for this project, or board delegation of their authority to the administration to rank the proposals to be received. And number 3, approval of criteria and points to be used for ranking the proposals. Dr. Rivera, can you give us your recommendations?
Yeah, on number 1, we recommend competitive sealed proposals.
Motion to approve.
And on 2 and 3, you can decide whether you want to rank, or we can rank them and then approve the criteria.
When you say rank, do you mean the contractor?
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve your recommendation on the sealed proposals and just to delegate it to y'all to rank the
Okay.
contractor.
2 and 3?
To
Should we make a
administration.
motion for, okay, your motion is 1 and 2. And then the number 3, approval of criteria and points?
Yes, to delegate to the superintendent.
So you're making a motion for all 3, the competitive sealed proposals, and to give the authority to the administration to rank the proposals,
Yes.
and to approve the criteria points.
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
We have a second by Mr. Nieto?
Could I just
Oh,
ask-
you already did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Could I just ask a clarification question, Doc? Now, after you rank them, you're still going to bring it to the board for final approval?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so Dr. Rivera will bring it to the board after he ranks for final approval. We are delegating the authority to administration to rank them. We're doing competitive sealed proposals, and we are approving the criteria and points as listed in the agenda. And a motion by Mr. Castillo and seconded by Mr. Nieto. We'll go ahead and take it to a vote. Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Cuellar?
Aye.
Mr. Castillo?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mr. De Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. 12C2, discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to select an architectural firm for the demolition of the old gymnasium at Central Middle School project. 12C3, discussion, got ahead of myself.
12C2.
Yeah, we're going to select an architectural firm for the demolition of the old gymnasium at Central Middle School project. Does anybody want to make a motion for one of those architectural firms on the list?
I'll make a motion for the Warren Group.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for the Warren Group by Mr. Castillo and a second by Mr. De Los Santos. Do we have any questions or comments? I have a comment. Dr. Rivera, you had said that the Warren Group, they did the vestibules for WISD, and they've been doing a pretty good job with the vestibules?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
They're doing a good job.
they're doing a good job.
And
They're a little
medical,
behind
have you
schedule.
worked with them before?
A little behind schedule, but they're doing a good job.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I mean, we'll be good.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and take it to the vote. Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Cuellar?
Aye.
Mr. Castillo?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mr. Dos Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes for the Warren Group. We'll move on to 12C3, discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval of a procurement method of construction for the construction of a new agricultural facility project, just the same as up on the top for the old gymnasium. We have 1, 2, and 3. The method of procurement, the authority for the board or the administration to rank them, and then the approval of criteria points.
We recommend competitive seal proposals. And then you can decide if you want to rank them or us to rank them.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve competitive seal proposals.
Okay, and then number 2?
Allow admin to rank. And then, what's the third one?
Approve the
Approval of
criteria.
criteria?
Approve the criteria for the points to rank the proposals.
But you want the administration to.
Admin to.
Seconded by Mr. Mr. De Los Santos, and just to repeat and make it very clear what we're going with the competitive seal proposals. We are giving the administration, we're delegating to the administration to rank the proposals, and we are approving the criteria points to be used for ranking the proposals. All right, we'll
Then
go ahead,
we'll come back for approval for the board.
and we'll come back for approval after you rank them. Go ahead and take it to a vote. Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Cuellar?
Aye.
Mr. Castillo?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mr. De Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. 12C4, discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to select an architectural firm for the construction of a new agricultural facility project. We have the list.
Okay, it's your call to make. Let me just tell you that Janak, again, I'm not pushing for anyone, but Janak has done 3 projects, 3 ag projects, and Gomez Mendez has done also 3. Again, I'm not.
In the valley?
Yeah, in
3
the
and
valley.
3?
Yeah. Janak has done Riondo, La Jolla, and PSJA. Gomez has done Sherryland, Los Fresnos, and Lyford.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not pushing for these. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
giving
it's just
you
information.
the ones that have done this
I'll make a
before.
motion for Janak.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is for Janak by Mr. Castillo and seconded by Mr. De Los Santos. Any comments, questions? All right, we'll go ahead and take it to a vote to approve Janak for the new ag facility project. Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Cuellar?
Aye.
Mr. Castillo?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mr. De Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 13, closed meeting to discuss. 13A, personnel matters, Texas Government Code 551.074. 13A1, discussion regarding superintendent's recommendation on certified professional and non-contractual personnel. 13A2, discussion regarding superintendent's recommendation on resignations, retirements of certified personnel and non-contractual personnel. 13A3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. 13A4, discussion and action regarding superintendent's recommendation for proposal and renewal of probationary term and continuing contracts for teachers and support personnel for the 24-25 school year. 13A5, discussion and action regarding superintendent's recommendation for proposal of renewal of contracts for district administrators, principals, and assistant principals for the 24-25 school year. 13A6, discussion and action regarding superintendent's recommendation for proposal of the non-renewal of a teacher contract for the 24-25 school year. 13A7, discussion and action regarding superintendent's recommendation for proposal of the termination of a teacher on a continuing contract for the 24-25 school year. 13B, discussion on superintendent's evaluation and contract. We also have 14, consultation with attorney regarding A, pending or contemplated litigation, B, settlement offer, or C, a matter in which the duty of the attorney of the Weslaco Independent School District under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code 551.071. It is 7:44 p.m., and we will enter into closed session. 5:29 p.m. and we have reconvened in open meeting. And I'll go ahead and take a motion if anybody wants to make one for item number 15 and several items under item 15.
I'd like to make a motion on item number 15 to approve A1, A2, A3, and A5 as discussed in executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take it to a vote. Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Coach Cuellar?
Aye.
Mr. Castillo?
Aye.
Mr. De Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item 15B, discussion and possible action on superintendent's evaluation and contract. Do we have any?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the superintendent's evaluation and three-year contract as discussed in executive session.
Okay, a second? Okay, I just want to make a comment. Dr. Rivera, you've been doing an amazing job, and this board is very happy that you are with us, and we're very proud to have you on our board as a team of 8 that we are. We're just very lucky to have you here, and thank you so much for everything you're doing, and thank you to the administration also. He deserves it. Yes, we want to keep him here forever. But any other questions, comments?
No, just an excellent job, Dr. Rivera.
Yes.
Excellent job you've been doing for our community, for our students, for the staff. Exceptional job, and like I said, second to none, leading the way.
I appreciate it.
Exactly. All righty.
I just want to say thank you for the confidence, the support. I appreciate you. I always say I will not fumble the ball, and I will not. I want to say that my heart belongs to every boy and girl at Weslaco ISD, and every staff member. And I get my strength from boys and girls. So again, thank you for the support, and again, I will not disappoint you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I was one of your boys and girls. You were the
Yes,
superintendent,
yes.
so I'm here now. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and take it to a vote. Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Coach Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Castillo?
Aye.
Mr. Dos Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 16, adjournment.
So moved.
All right, it's 8:31 p.m. We are adjourned. Yay, Doctor.